So we want to buy a house. How do we get started on the financing side of things? I'm sitting with Nick Pakulla, who's my preferred lender. And Nick, what I want you to do is walk me through from the very beginning. What do you,
Sure.
So I pick up the phone and I say, I want to buy a house. I need to be pre-approved.
Yep.
And I don't know anything else besides that.
Sure.
So where does that conversation go from there, and what do the steps look like for me to get my approval?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of, rough rule of thumb I suggest is there's no time too early to technically get pre-qualified for the loan. It's always good to have a conversation and figure out what makes the most sense, and be prepared so that even if you're not ready to buy this year or the next month, in a year or two you have the right information. So sort of step one, I kind of recommend 60 days out is when you really want to dig in. 60 days out before you're going to go and meet with an agent and start really looking around. You don't necessarily want to be out driving around every weekend if you can't get some sort of financing. And
we don't want to be out driving around every weekend if you can't get financing either.
Right, and
so,
if you don't know what your payment, you might be looking at a certain price range, but really you can afford more and you want a bigger house, but you're kind of limiting yourself. So step one is typically a phone call. Every institution has different rules on how they take the application. You can do it over the phone. A lot of places now have online applications. What I think makes the most sense is usually a quick conversation. Doesn't have to be very detailed. You would need to kind of mentally be prepared for a couple things that the lender is going to ask you. And these are the main things that they use when they actually approve the loan later on. And they are down payment, which you could come up with whatever number you want, but what's the most comfortable down payment for you? How much do you want to put down? The second thing is credit. Do you have any major credit issues to be aware of? Everything pretty good. And then the third is income. How much do you make each year? And how is that divided, whether you're self-employed or salaried or hourly? The lender's going to ask you those things. And you don't have to have the exact number day one. Ballpark numbers are usually enough to get a range of, hey, we're looking between X 200,000 and 300,000, or we're looking between 300 and 400. Do we qualify? Is that even realistic? Is the payment something we're comfortable with? And usually a 10-minute phone conversation, we can run some rough numbers, make sure everything checks out. And then after that point, that's when you kind of everything lines up and you can qualify, or you want to adjust your range a little bit, but that's when you want to really apply. And that involves pulling credit. And then also we would look at, depending on the lender, before giving a pre-qualification letter, they typically, you want to have a lender that will look at pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns up front. It makes a huge difference in a couple different ways once you're actually under contract to buy a home.
And when you pull all the information, your letter is a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification. And there's a difference in that word,
yes,
right?
Yes, there is a difference. Every bank has different compliance requirements on whether they do a pre-approval or pre-qualification, and your lender can really discuss with you what they do and what their bank allows them to do there. But there is theoretically a pre-qualification is less than what's called a full approval or an approval, and that's generally when the bank has actually gone through underwriting process.
And here's what we advise all of our buyers is you go and you get pre-approved, which means your credit is pulled, you've done the application, you've sent in all of your documentation, and we've got a letter that says exactly that. So as real estate agents, we see a lot of pre-qualification letters, which to me means that my buyer had a conversation with somebody they found on the internet who said they can give them X amount of money. They haven't looked into anything. They haven't looked into credit. They haven't looked into income. They haven't looked into debts. They just had a conversation and have said, here you go, I'll give you this letter, go find a home. It's a lot nicer on the listing agent side to see a letter that says, I've pulled credit, I've got documentation, we're just waiting for the home, that's it. We just need to run an appraisal and we're good. We'll finance up to this number. So do all the hard work before you're ready to start making offers so that you have a good letter, because a good letter will certainly have people take you seriously. A bad letter, just a qualification letter from a no-name internet bank is going to be very scary to the real estate agents that are out there looking at your offers. Anything else as far as just getting started?
No, again, I think there's no time that's too early. If you're curious about it, have the 10-minute conversation, get comfortable, and the more comfortable you are, the easier it is to move forward when you're ready.
Yeah, and last thing when it comes to the comfort, two most important numbers. What is my monthly payment, and what does it cost me at the settlement table to buy this home? That number we can kind of work with and get some credits and get some help from the seller, but that monthly payment number is really the number that you need to understand and you need to know based on the sales price. And that includes your taxes and your insurance and everything else that happens to get rolled into the loan. And your lender can help you with that. They can certainly estimate, or if you have a home that you are interested in or you've seen online, you can send that to your lender and they can get you exact numbers based on taxes and insurance. So that's how you get started. If you're thinking about it, do it now. Pick up the phone, make a phone call, just get the process started, and then you can fine tune it from there. Thanks.